Welcome to Library Connection. Today I am very privileged to have with me Dr. Ted Spears. Around town, Dr. Ted is known for many, many accomplishments through the years, but the one most strongly held today is the Sylacauga Arts Council, his association with it, and of course leading the Marble Festival. He has agreed today to come and share with you some of the things that's coming up in the future of the Arts Council. So we welcome you, Dr. Ted, and glad you could join us this morning.
Thank you, Elaine. I'm delighted to be here. We're looking at November the 13th, was a very special workshop that we're presenting to the adults in the community, and that is a poetry workshop. Dr. Ken Autry from Auburn University. Ken taught creative writing for many years at Francis Marion University in Florence, South Carolina. He has been handling the third Thursday poetry program at Auburn University, and they started in a storefront, and now they're meeting in the Jews College Museum on the campus of Auburn University, and he has 125, 150 people on a weekly basis on Thursday night. So we felt like, in addition to that, since he had published 2 books on poetry, he would be ideal to come and conduct the workshop. So starting on November the 13th at 3:30 in the afternoon, till 5:30, he is conducting a workshop, and you say, well, you know, I'm not a poet, I'm not interested. The workshop is for people who have never written poetry before, people who have published poetry, people who are novelists, people who have written songs for whatever framework that they need, whether it's country music or popular music. And then it's certainly it's for people who just are writers to begin with, because the poetry that he'll be talking about is poetry from the heart, and it's giving people an opportunity to express themselves through the medium of poetry. And it's one of those interesting things that that every facet of our lives is connected by poetry. You look at the poetry that's in the Bible, in the different verses, in the parables, and the other teachings, and the
advertisements on TV.
Advertisements, especially on TV. All of that is poetry. And so Ken is going to come. He's going to be looking at the actual techniques for poetry, and he's going to point out the value of poetry in our lives and in our society, and the fact that we're going to look at some actual poems in a very structured way. And the whole idea is to make it easy and make it fun and not to embarrass anybody. We will have some people there we're going to ask to read their poetry, and they can ask any questions that they want to. So they're going to do a lot of brainstorming, and they'll look at people who've just started a first draft of their poetry and let them share, and let us come to an understanding of what we'll be looking at as we progress through the workshop. So I'm hoping that we'll have a wonderful turnout. We are registering people at the library, and we already have 24, 25 people registered.
Very good.
And so we're real thrilled about that. I know I talked to a young man who was with a country songwriters group, and he met with a group yesterday, and all of them have been invited. We hope that they all come, because it creates a lot of interest in the community, and it lets us show that we've got a lot of talent in this community, and people who have always been secret writers. I talked to a woman early this week. I asked her, was she interested in poetry, and she said, yes, I'm interested. And this was at an institution, a school, and she said, you know, I have published 2 books. And I said, you're the kind of person we're looking for.
Yeah.
You know, that here you are, you're an administrative assistant in a school, and yet you write poetry. She said, yes, and so does my daughter. So I signed them up on the spot, get them both to come in. Now, we think that this will be useful enough and flexible enough that we can have follow-up activities like this, additional workshops. And I'm just so excited about having Ken, because he's published in the Chattahoochee Review, in addition to the 2 books, the Cimarron Review, the Northwest Poetry Review, and the South Carolina Review, and even the Prairie Review out of Texas. So this man has a lot of talent, and he taught, like I said, in the University at Francis Marion there in Florence, South Carolina. But the real work, and this comes about as a result of a person that we all know, Dr. Terry Lay,
yes,
who has the computer hookup that he sends poetry, and we talk poetry with him throughout the people who are on that list. So we're real excited about it, and one of the interesting things that that comes up when we look at poetry and what it does and what it's about is that poetry is simply gathering words together. It can rhyme or it cannot rhyme. It can be lyrical as well as musical. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of us think, and when I go back to my poetry in elementary school, the teacher gave us the very dear impression it had to rhyme.
Yes.
And that's not so. You know, it's just a new communication tool that we have. And well, it's not new, but it's a new approach that we're taking to it, because people are forgetting how important writing is.
Yes.
With the electronic age and with the advent of the internet 25 years ago, and now the advent of the smartphones and the advent of texting and all of that, it's become more important that we do things that will preserve our cultural and educational heritage, and that is writing and communicating. One of the interesting things, I was talking to a president of a company here in Sylacauga. He said, what we need on our job, number one, it has to have people who will be willing to show up, and then have some skills, and the main skill that we want them to have is writing skills, so that they can take down instructions, do critical writing or technical writing, and communicate a thought in writing to another person. He said, we're losing that skill. If they can't text it or send it through email, they don't do it. And he said, that's not one of those things. Now, one of the interesting things about poetry, and I find this fascinating and also helpful, is that it does not have to be grammatically correct. Mm-mm. It can be a complete sentence, or it can be fragmented. It can be personal, or it can be impersonal. Only thing about it, you better have your adjectives ready when you start writing poetry, because yes, it requires a lot of thought, and I think it's extremely important. Now, why did we get into this? Years ago, back in the 80s, in the early 80s, the Arts Council, along with the Educational Foundation, sponsored poets to come into the classroom to teach children. Mm-hmm. And that was really a wonderful thing to have young men and young women, or old men and old women, whatever, you know, my age and all, that would come in and work with the elementary schools on poetry. And we found that to be the most helpful thing, the most wonderful thing, and somehow or another, other venues got on the agenda, and we dropped the program. Not because it wasn't doing a good job, it's just some other things became important, and it just kind of faded away. So it's coming back with a vengeance, because if we don't do something to preserve the creative writing ability of people, we're going to be in trouble. And I'm hoping that they understand that when we start doing this, that nobody's going to be laughed at, nobody's going to be embarrassed or anything, but it will just help us, and it'll give us a connection to the literary world, and we can use it in our churches and the church music. We use it with the secular music, and it's just really wonderful, because just 2 years ago at Auburn High School, we had a young man who won the National Poetry Contest. Yes. And that was through a program, Poetry Out Loud. And so if we can help give birth to something like Poetry Out Loud in the adult community, as well as the educational community. Now, one of the things that Dr. Alter is going to do, we met with Dr. Freeman and Mrs. Rosado and introduced him to them, and they're going to use him in the teacher institutes, in the workshops for teachers in the interval between January and the time the second semester starts, and sometime during the second semester. And what we're thrilled about is that this is something the Arts Council can do for the community and for the children, and we work with the teachers, and the teachers can work with the children rather than us bringing in outside poets like we did before. And we think this will be a more lasting program. And Dr. Freeman has already introduced a great many arts back into the curriculum since he's been here, and we'll talk more about that in the next session. But I would urge everyone out there, if you have an interest in poetry, or if you want to just come and be in a room of aspiring poets, come down to the library in the afternoon of November the 13th, and we'll be talking about all exciting things. You can participate or not participate. You can be a voyeur, just watch, or if you have any questions, you can do it. But we would prefer that people bring paper and pencil, right, and so that when Dr. Alter starts talking, that we can obviously have people who will be taking notes and learning more about structure of poetry.
Right. There is no cost, so they don't have to bring money, because who are the sponsors again?
The sponsors are the Arts Council and the library. And I guess if you live in this town, you already got a library card, and if you hadn't already joined the Arts Council, I know you would want to do that anyway. Yeah. So there's no problem. Anyway, there's no cost to it, and we just welcoming people. We want to encourage people to come and be a part of this, because this is one of the important things that we're doing for adults in the community.
Well, and this is a one-time thing too. Now, this is not, I mean, I know we have some difficulty with folks joining the Arts Council. They think when we're asking them to join that that's a monthly meeting, it's one more obligation, and it truly isn't. The membership is something that they can give. They're $25 personal membership, $50 for a family. The thing about it is that money goes to help provide such a program as this for the entire community to enjoy, free of charge. And so, Dr. Autry's coming is a major coup for this community. He is a big name, and he has worked so extensively that we think that it's a marvelous opportunity for people to come. And like Dr. Ted has said, if you have even an inkling of a desire to do it, it would be a really nice time to get in on this, and maybe it will, you know, build and go into something where you could have a poetry group meeting on a regular basis or something. But this is just a one-time workshop to help you get the interest back. Don't you think? Most of all, we need to encourage interest.
We certainly want to encourage the interest, and along with the interest, for people who ever wonder, well, how would I publish? I've got something that's really good, I like it, and my family liked it, and my friends like it. How do I go about getting it published? He will give us access to the names of publishers and the people that can help publish it, and the cost of things like that. So I'm thinking that will be a part of the workshop also, is that he'll be a resource for how to do these kinds of things, and how you go about writing it, and all the frustrations you go about it.
Right.
And when you first submit things, maybe they are sent back with recommendations to do it. So he will walk us through all of that, and that will be a very interesting part of the process. And but the really main reason for the workshop is to give people an opportunity to express themselves, to get back involved in writing and doing creative things and interesting things, and things that they can do from their soul and their heart, rather than an assignment that they might have. It's really a wonderful opportunity.
Let us tell them that it's November 13th, and you for the poetry workshop, and you can sign up down at the library. When we return in just a few moments, we're going to be talking about some more things that the Arts Council has going. Please join us.
10 big years, celebrating 10 big years Smiling customers at Toyota of Sylacauga. Construction continues with fresh new inventory arriving daily, and we need to make room.
We are your Sylacauga RAV4 connection, like a brand new 2014 RAV4. 0 down, 0% financing, and $1,000 cash back.
We're your small town dealer with big time savings. So come see us and get ready to smile. Online 24/7 at toyotaofsylacauga.com.
Wright Tire and Service on West Fort Williams in Sylacauga is the right place for you. We carry the right tires for your car: Goodyear, Cooper, General, Michelin, and lots more. Wright Tire and Service is also your right choice when it comes to all of your automotive service needs. Whether it's an oil change, front end alignment, brake service, or air conditioner work, make the right choice the first time and stop by Wright Tire and Service, Sylacauga.
In Central Alabama, 9,100 kids face going to bed hungry tonight. Hunger doesn't take a day off. There are kids right here, right now, that don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Alabama Childhood Food Solutions and help put an end to childhood hunger in Central Alabama. Make a difference. Donate today, by mail or online, to help ACFS feed hungry kids. There's no better time to share than now. Their next meal could come from you.
Re-elect Shaddix Murphy, Talladega County Coroner in the November 4th general election. Experience counts. Shaddix has a degree in mortuary science and certified in mass fatality management. Shaddix is a member of the Alabama Coroners Association. Shaddix Murphy is a licensed funeral director and embalmer for 16 years. Re-elect Shaddix Murphy, Coroner, Talladega County, November the 4th. Remember, experience counts.
There's one pharmacy that's so much more than just a drugstore. That's Marble City Pharmacy in Sylacauga. From cards for all occasions, a huge selection of gifts, even great exclusive Alabama and Auburn stuff, all kinds of household needs, and a complete selection of over-the-counter meds and supplies that you would expect. We are more than just a drugstore, but with our friendly, courteous staff and all of our great extras, we ought to be your drugstore. We're Marble City Pharmacy in Ogletree Plaza.
Welcome back to Library Connection. I'm talking with Dr. Ted Spears, and we're discussing what the Sylacauga Arts Council is doing. And boy, this is a busy time of year. He has already shared with us the poetry workshop that will be happening on November 13th for adults to learn some more about poetry. But we've got some exciting things that has just occurred. Tell us, if you will, please, about the awards of the grants to the schools, and a little bit about, if you would please help us and discuss a little bit about the different types of grants. How many schools were given awards?
We had 13 awards given out, and that was, some schools got 2 awards, but all in all, we made over $4,000, or to be exact, $4,574.98.
Yeah.
We gave in grants to the schools. And what we did, we sought applications in grant form, and that was something that Elaine handled for us.
Yes.
And then we had a committee that graded the grants and looked at it, and we had so many good ones, and we saw what was the potential that was there, and we funded I think every application that we had.
Yes, we did.
To
in some
extent,
form, yes.
To some extent. And all told, that was well over $4,500. That's all of the schools in the Sylacauga City School, Comer and Fayetteville and Watwood and the county system, and the private school here in town, Knollwood. They're always a very important part of that. And we were so excited because of the caliber and the quality and the kinds of application that we got. I know that one for Pinecrest Elementary and Indian Valley, they collaborated together to have a cabaret theater, which was a musical world of Disney. And everybody knows that the Walt Disney productions are just really fabulous, and the kids love it. But just think that we have a music teacher and an art teacher collaborating, and they're going to reach every child in Indian Valley and every child in Pinecrest School with this process. you'll either sing or you'll dance or you'll be making props or you'll be smiling, you'll be doing something.
Right.
And the appreciation for the arts. And then we funded some places like Fayetteville, the basic art supplies, because they have a new program and a new teacher coming in. She had no supplies, no anything. And so they're getting a grant to do that. And then they're also doing a chamber production. They go into the Boston, Massachusetts chamber production at the Alabama Theater, and that's another artistic sort of thing that we were glad to participate in. But all in all, I'd like to say to our television audience that the reason we're doing this is that there's all sorts of research and empirical data that points out that children who are exposed to the arts become better students, they make better grades, they make better citizens, they make better mothers and fathers, they make better workers. In every facet of their life, the more they know about art and the more they participate in whatever facet, whether it's still art, art in motion, music, painting, dancing, whatever, that they're better people.
They are.
And that they're in more demand, and they make much better citizens, and better citizens make better communities. So I thought that you all did a wonderful job with this information, and when we look at it, when we're asking people for a membership, a $25 membership or a $50 membership, every dime we all are volunteers. We don't have a person that's on a salary. We've got people in all walks of life who donate their time to see that the schools get this added boost to the curriculum so that we could do more for our children.
Well, it's not in their budget, and if we don't help them, many of these programs do not come about simply because there is no money for this kind of thing in their budget. And as you say, we have such a wide variety. I mean, one of the grants that we have given, Dance Dance Revolution, is a brand new program, and it is music and choreography together. It fits perfectly within the guidelines of our mission as an arts council. And so we are so pleased with it. And then we have a black and white photography. Mindy Buckley's going to be handling it at Nichols Lawson Middle School. And this is teaching young people to look at history as well as photography, because they're going to be, the children are going to be they're in a costume of historical significance, and they're going to make their pictures, and the students are going to be photographing the student in the costume. Just a really unique and clever way of teaching. And then we have mosaic tile. Two of the schools are going to be using mosaic tile, and that's a tedious artistic, creative outlet for these students, and we're looking forward to seeing the masterpieces that they'll make with that. We're also, as Dr. Tidd's already said, we're helping with a background painting. One of the groups is going to be performing a drama, and they needed a background painted, and one of our artists is going to paint that background for them with our help. We were, as a committee, dedicated to taking the monies that we had, and we don't get out there selling candy bars, and we don't have to get out there selling anything. Membership, Dr. Tidd, you're a wonderful fundraiser, and we write grants to get this money that we divide up to all of these schools. We think it's such an important part of our existence, what we're in business for as an art council, and so many different things. We have outlined and streamlined the rules for application for this, and we're encouraging students and teachers from these schools to be a part of the Arts Council by just sending in their donation of $25. There's no need to ever come to a meeting, but that money is taken, it's used and put back into programs such as this that are so very important and vital for our schools. We have some new people in place this year. We have, and we met them at a recent Arts Council board meeting, and we're so pleased with what they're doing. You want to discuss quickly those 4 individuals that we met?
Well, I do know. Let me start with the last guy that appeared. I can remember him easier than I can remember the first one.
Yeah, 3 women and a man.
Marquez Tidwell, a new person at Sylacauga High School. He'll be at Sylacauga High School, and Nicholas Lawson. And I was just really enthused by the kind of things he talked about, what they wanted to do with the students, and using all sort of musical talent and dance and singing, and he's even looking at a show choir that can appear at events around town. They've already appeared at football games,
yes,
but
they have.
I know that a lot of the clubs they want some talent to come and entertain them beforehand and whatever. And I think if he is halfway successful with the things that he talked to us about,
yes,
that's going to be a fantastic addition to the curriculum at the high school and at the middle school.
Yes.
And then Mrs. Gonzalez, who is working at Indian Valley and at Pinecrest, is going to be able to bring a new life to the art program in those places. She is new, and I was really impressed with her, and I was listening to them. We had all these people as guests of the Arts Council at our monthly meeting on Monday of this week. And I went away feeling just elated and
absolutely
happy. It was kind of an electric atmosphere,
yes,
with all these people and what they were doing in the schools. And so Mr. Tidwell and Ms. Gonzalez were just really excited about what they were doing and how they were doing it. And then I won't say the old one, but also
the veterans.
Mindy Buckley, the veterans,
yes,
have been here. So Mindy talked to them and let them know what was going on. And finally,
Lakeisha
Crocker
mm-hmm.
talked, and she's been working all along, but Lakeisha made something very plain to us that here we are. We only were reaching a few of them, but because of the new additions, that we can reach every child in the 2 schools that we work in. Mm-hmm. And she's been doing a beautiful job, but one person can only do so much, so now we've doubled down,
right,
so to speak. And we have I was
it's a bright future, isn't it? I mean,
think
it's in
bright,
good hands.
And we certainly want to thank Dr. Freeman and the Board of Education for adding those people to the schools and the teaching positions, because they realize and understand the importance of art. And unfortunately, in Alabama, we've had that devil called proration.
Oh, yes.
And the schools, every once in a while, they get cut. Here, they make plans. And unfortunately, in too many instances, and whether it's a good decision or a bad decision, what got cut was the extras, the art program, the music, the dance, and all these things like that. And I'm glad that they see the error of their predecessors' ways, and now we are looking at it in a realistic form.
Right.
And art is important, just like algebra and English, and almost as important as poetry.
Right. Well, we thank you, Dr. Ted, for being here today. We want to remind you that the upcoming dinner theater is also, and we'll talk about that later at another date. But thank you for watching Library Connections today.